Call this regular council meeting of the Village of Greenhills, May 22nd, 2018, to order. Clerk, call the roll.
Dries,
Aye. Here.
Halter,
Here.
Hermes. Here. Lee,
Here.
Walther,
Here.
Moore.
Here. We have a prayer by Maria Walther.
Lord, we ask you to send your spirit of servanthood upon all of us gathered here this evening to do your work for the benefit of all in our community. We ask you to bless our elected and appointed officials so they may deliberate with wisdom and act with courage. Bless the members of our community who come here to speak before council so they state their cause with honesty and humility. Please, Lord, this weekend especially, bless those present and past veterans and their families, and please allow us to intellectualize the fact that freedom is not free. Lord, we ask you to bless us all, that everything we do here tonight will move us to welcome us one day into your kingdom as good and faithful servants. We ask this in the name of our brother Jesus. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, got the minutes of April 24th, regular council meeting, and May, no, that's not, that can't be right. May 8th, the council work session.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we adopt and approve the minutes of these previously stated meetings.
So moved. Minutes approved. Okay, this is the time for residents to comment on matters before council. When recognized, please come forward to the lectern, give your name and address, and then state your comments or questions. This is not intended to be a dialogue with council or village staff. If you have questions, the questions will be recorded and referred to the manager's office for response. This will allow time for thoughtful and thorough consideration to be given to each question. Council meetings are recorded for ease of transcription. Comments are limited to 3 minutes. Speakers may not yield any or all of their time to other speakers. Do you have anybody who wants to address council?
Hello.
Hi.
My name is Brandy Kneesenhalter. I'm at 154 Greenhills. At the April 24th meeting, council discussed Ohio House Bill 478, the Small Cells Expansion Act, and the possibility of small cell towers being installed in the village. Dr. Michael Dowson, UC College of Medicine and Environmental Health, and I spoke about the biological, environmental, and safety risks associated with cell towers and more at the November 2016 council meeting. We also spoke about how communities elsewhere were trying to prevent wireless infrastructure from being installed. Since then, I have been sending additional information to the law committee about state and federal legislation related to this, as well as news links from other communities who have been trying to stop these towers from being installed. Although council members have been discussing this at meetings, many residents don't attend or watch meetings on TV, so they don't know about this. When I have spoken to them about these towers, one question keeps coming up. Why hasn't this been reported in the Greenhills Journal? So I am asking council to submit an article to the Greenhills Journal for this reason. I have a petition with signatures so far from 28 different homes. None of us want small cell towers being installed in our homes or in our neighborhoods. In 2015, residents in Liberty Township were able to stop small cell towers from being installed in their neighborhoods because they fought together. This was covered by local news. Residents all over the state and country have been doing this as well. Because I have been talking to so many residents about this, I have also been hearing more concerns and complaints regarding rising costs here and historic demolition. As you may recall, I spoke specifically about this at the March 2018 meeting. I listened to how council members later responded to what I said. I realize you have made plans Regardless, some of these plans and decisions are still hurting residents more than financially. More residents have told me that they have talked to you about this, but it didn't matter. I still hope you will consider all of this. I also hope you will work with residents on trying to keep cell towers out of the village. The petition reads, at the April 24, 2018 Greenhills Village Council meeting, the law director and various council members discussed Ohio House Bill 478, Small Cells Expansion Act, and small cell towers being installed within village limits to fill in the gaps for cell service coverage. We are aware that these types of small cell towers have already been installed in other local neighborhoods in front of homes, in public rights-of-ways, and in historic districts. We do not want small cell towers to be installed near our homes or in our Thank you.
Okay.
Monique, I usually don't comment, but I feel like I need to. With regard to the Greenhills Journal, any citizen can submit an article, and just because I submit one and I'm on council doesn't mean that they're going to publish it. So if you're passionate about the issue, I would encourage you to write an article.
I have sent them information before. I never received a response, so
Okay.
I've seen that Yvonne submits things about half days in the village before, so I thought maybe you had some fault.
Okay.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Lynn Cyrus, and I'm with Mackenzie's Workshop. I'm a new business owner to the Greenhills Shopping Mall. And what I do is arts and craft, and I have a maker space. So if someone wants to learn how to do different types of craft, I have sewing machines, cutters, so that people can cut out t-shirt, symbols, names, or whatever. And I have an embroidery machine, so if someone needs something embroidered, I can do that as well. But my love is quilting. So what I'm offering to the community of Green Hills today is that I make a quilt that says, I am Green Hills. I've lived near Green Hills all my life, so being as an owner is really exciting to me because I know how close-knit the community of Green Hills is. So that I can get familiar with a lot of people in the community and offer them some of the activities that I do have, I would like to create the quilt. I can show you one of my quilts. This is my quilt, and it's called the Healing Tree. And this is the quilt. It's a signature quilt that I would like to present to the community. And what it is people will sign or draw or write their name on a 6x6 block. And when they put that block together, I'll take it and build a quilt similar to this small one. This is just one I threw together today, just so you can see a sample of what it might look like. I'm not charging to build the quilt. However, the only thing that I'm charging is putting together the materials for the blocks. It's only $2.50. So they can sign one person or their whole family can sign the blocks. And I plan on being out in a lot of the events that they're gonna have this year. I'm actually right next to the laundromat. So also the library has agreed to take some of these, and if someone wants to, if I'm not available, they can pick them up at the library, and they can bring me, they'll give me their blocks, and then of course I'll be out handing out blocks if people would like them, and eventually the whole 2018 season, I'll be at every event so that I can get as many people as I can signature on blocks, or they can draw pictures or whatever. And then by next year, this time, I'll be presenting the quilt to the community.
Thank you.
Great, thank you, thank you.
Anybody else?
As a literature, you passed out these amendments. Thank you for doing that. I'll begin. Dear Mr. Mayor and Councilman, thank you for the opportunity to speak to you this evening on an important subject that I sincerely hope you will give great consideration. The subject is the road or drive that goes from the road from Ingram to the northeast corner of the parking lot behind the American Legion village offices. My name is Sharon Drew. I live at 33 Day Spring Terrace. I have been a resident taxpayer in the Greenhills village for 47 years. I have raised 3 children here. And during those years, I volunteered.
Is someone ready for him?
It's my reading form.
I can read it. Would it be okay if I read it for you?
Yeah.
Be happy to do that.
Thank you.
His name is Sherman Drew. He's been a resident and taxpayer in our Greenhills village for 47 years. He's raised 3 children here, and during those years, he's volunteered coaching baseball and soccer. He's been the president of the fire department. Most importantly, he's a veteran of the United States Navy and a member and an officer of the Greenhills American Legion Post 530. Greenhills became a golf cart-friendly community a couple years ago. He invested in a golf cart and thoroughly enjoys being able to use his golf cart to attend to business, shop, and visit neighbors in the village. It is his preferred mode of transportation around our village. He mentioned he is an officer of the American Legion. That back road that leads from Inman to the parking lot is the only access point to get to the Legion and village offices using a golf cart. It was decided at some point last year that the city simply did not want to continue to maintain that driver road. This adversely affects his ability to enjoy his golf cart as he goes to the Legion many times a week. He also understands that there have been many complaints by residents bordering that drive. Currently, because the drive is closed, he would venture to say that they are using that area for parking, although they don't own it. So you see, you have a couple of residents realizing a gain and benefiting from that space, while you limit other residents of passage through that drive to enjoy being a golf cart-friendly community. He finds this extremely unfair as a taxpayer and a veteran. He served this country for everyone in this room, as did other members of our American Legion. The American Legion is a place where we go to honor our brothers and sisters that are serving and have served. He believes that his many contributions to the village and to our country should be reason enough to open that drive to allow passage of a golf cart. There are other Legion members that would like to get a golf cart. However, if they cannot utilize it to get to important areas of the community, what is the benefit? In closing, he would like to point out and remind you that the American Legion has made many donations of equipment to the fire department, the police department, and sponsor scholarship programs and other opportunities to our village as well. He is formally requesting that we open and maintain at least a cart path that goes between Inman and the northeast corner of the parking lot so that golf carts have access to the American Legion and city buildings. It is his opinion as a taxpayer it is the right and fair thing to do. He closes with this: you know, we veterans get told thank you for your service. Words of appreciation are nice, but here is an opportunity for the village to actually do something for veterans in appreciation of their service. Thank you for your consideration. For God and country, Sherman Drew.
May I ask, if you open it, it can be called Veterans Way.
So we'll have to discuss it, okay? Committee meeting.
As America, you can do what you want.
Anybody else?
Signage.
I'm guessing it walked out.
Probably my reputation precedes me. My name is Patty Anduan. I live at 32 Chalmers Lane, and I have several things I'd like to touch on. One is that I know this has been discussed in the past about having a prayer at the meeting, and some of you have decided to go on blocks to criticize people that do not stand for your prayer. I would suggest that in lieu of you guys conjuring up some kind of a prayer that suits your needs, that instead that you recite the oath of office so that remind yourself about your ethical duties and your duties to the Constitution and to the citizens of this city. Just trying singling in on one particular religion is very disgraceful, and I would hope that you would consider just reciting your oath to remind yourself why you're here. The second is that the minutes did not reflect from the last meeting the actual dollar amount under evaluated assessments for the Board of Revision, complaints that have been filed. There were 14 public officials who's included with the other complaints that were filed, totaling $4.5 million worth of undervalued properties that's going back to at least 2005. Just like Mr. Reese spoke, it's not right for certain citizens to have benefits, whereas other citizens are picking up the tab, and it certainly looks like Mr. Dries, Mr. Moore, the Hermes family, and Mr. Wolterman, a lot of these people, along with Ms. Vistage, Aki Hoffman, have all enjoyed hundreds of thousands of dollars of tax fraud over the years, and I believe that rather than taking an action to hire with public monies an attorney to defend you, this is an absolute insult. The ACLU has also taken a look, well, they have not taken a look, but another attorney has already taken a look at your ordinance number, Chapter 7, Business Regulation Code regarding the solicitors and canvassers and the need to have a permit. I noticed that this one adjustment was done in 2007 when I was going door to door soliciting to run for office. It was modified to clinch in on First Amendment rights. There is no way in God's green earth that anyone who wants to canvass for a petition is required to have a permit signed by any of you. And I'm telling Mr. Forbes right now, the ACLU is going to be notified of this. And you guys better get on the ball and get it straightened out, because if you're trying to enforce this, you're going to be in a lot more legal trouble than you already are. The injunction is underway. The transcripts have been ordered. They have been filed with the appeals court with respect to the injunction of you demolishing.
Thank you, Ms. Anduan. Your time is up.
Yeah,
Thank you.
and your time is up too, Mr. Moore.
Thanks for the advice. Okay, anyone else? All right, moving on. Reports of village officials, Municipal Manager Yvonne Kovac.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. One of the first items I want to talk about is in regards to 11 Bachman. We had an individual here speaking about that at the last meeting, but the history on that particular property goes back almost a year now. And I gave you, the second hand I gave you is a copy of a letter that I've sent to the property owners that abut this property. And I included in there the letter that came from the Hamilton County Public Health notice of the violation and condemnation on that particular property, because I think we're hearing from enough of the residents now. They're curious. It's been sitting for a year, and they're wondering what is going on with it. So, she needs some assistance. Oh, there we go. Great. So anyway, you can read through the letter, but I did want you to know it went out. It is an issue for the people who live up there. About all we're able to do, we are doing, which is cutting the grass, cutting back the bushes where we can. But it is vacant. The property owner no longer lives in the building. So as far as the Board of Health is concerned, they are not in violation any longer because it's just one individual no longer lives there. So it kind of died, and then I took a look at the taxes. It's really tax delinquent. There's like $12,000 of taxes owed on this property. It's been a number of years, so I asked Mr. Forbes to look into the possibility of a tax foreclosure on this. So it would probably literally sit for years and years and years. And we don't want that to happen. It's just going to deteriorate and become a real hazard for the people who live around there and for the community. So Mr. Forbes did have some luck with the county prosecutor, was it? Who have indicated that they will move it towards tax foreclosure and to a sale. Do you want to comment on that now or at your report or something?
Sure.
Might help them understand it a little bit better. But anyway, we're thrilled that we have found a way to not let this just sit. So you've got the documents there. Feel free to take a look at them and let me know. If you have any questions, I also included a copy of the auditor's page that shows the tax delinquency on that particular property. The next item is really good news, our community development block grant funding. We did receive word that we can start spending that as of July 1st. So I will try to submit an article to the Journal explaining the program again, talking about the new guidelines for that particular program, because I think the Journal does not publish in July. So we're going to have a fairly lengthy description of it. Maybe we'll do an ad to draw people's attention to the fact that that's back now. So excited about that. Today we had a pre-construction meeting for our 2018 paving program. Those projects, that work will probably start the week after the 4th of July. The vendor's going to the contractor's going to try to move it up a little bit if he can. If so, all the better, but still that works just fine. It's way before school would start that it would be done. Because when he does finally get started, it will only be about a 2 or 3 week project. They'll move fairly quickly on that. So that was great news. Another piece that that I want to let you know, I see there's a big typo in there. I am so sorry. That sentence, whatever N650 is, who knows?
Code word.
But it is. Smokestack demolition. Our insurance company indicated that they want that smokestack down. It's a huge hazard. I think we've known that. Just didn't know they were going to make us take it down so soon. I was actually able to get a really good quote from Evans at $19,850. That compares to the last time we had gotten some bids on that. The lowest was $65,000. So I'm going to go ahead and take advantage of that bid, and that work would start in early August to get that down. We want to wait till after the ball games finish up on that particular thing. So. The conditional use permit request for the new school, all the paperwork has been submitted for that, and the planning commission date of June 4th has been set for a public hearing on that particular request. Our restroom project is finally nearing completion. They're working on the punch list, and we should have those new restrooms fairly soon, in the next week or two. There's also another planning commission public hearing, the medical marijuana issue that got forwarded to planning commission. They met and set a date for a public hearing. That is on June 26th at 6 p.m. First Park Talk of 2018 will be on Tuesday, June 5th at 6 p.m. and it will be at Burley Park. So that's usually a nice shady one. Oh, and golly, it's hard to believe, but the pool opens this Saturday. So the news there, I want to let you know that we are going to go ahead and place a credit card machine at the pool for the summer. We believe that will help with revenues, and that's kind of the way to pay now. It'll take credit cards, debit cards, and Apple Pay. Okay. So just any way anybody wants to pay, they can do so now. That should be a convenience, I hope, for our residents and our members.
Maybe Bitcoin's next.
Do it.
Bitcoins next, maybe?
I don't know. Then I want to say another word about grass violations. That's a big topic right now. We have had a large number of grass violations. A lot of them are being addressed by the property owners. We do have some that just, people call, it is on a list. I have a list of the 99 grass violations, so if you're wondering if something is on the list, I can let you know that. There are a few that are of more interest than others because they're so extreme, but just know that the certified mail process is we're still waiting for the certified mail receipt back on these properties. As soon as we receive that, we can start cutting it, and those particular properties probably aren't going to have anybody cutting them this summer, so we put them on a regular schedule after we get that initial certified receipt back on them. So do let me know if you have any questions on those. And I believe that's all I have right now. Talk about I think you're going to talk about some additional things, so, okay. I'll chime in then.
I have a couple questions. Pool membership, what's the window for getting a discount if you buy?
I actually intend to extend that.
Okay.
Probably to mid-June.
Okay, I just thought it'd be good to let the residents know.
Okay,
that-
excellent, yes, thank you for bringing that up.
And then, as far as the topic on the roadway American Legion, how are we planning on addressing that?
Well, I think we probably ought to discuss it, one of our
At the
committees.
work
I don't know
session.
if that would be community development, might be,
Okay.
since it's a development, but
Could I mention one thing?
you mentioned that we
Yeah.
don't own that
We
park.
don't own that road.
Okay,
We don't, and I think that's a real misnomer. We don't own the road. That's owned by the same individual that owns the American Legion building. So-
okay. Well, I mean, all of
can't
this is
really-
important. I mean, we have
Yeah.
people come here
Yeah.
and talk,
Right.
and I just don't want, if the facts are different, we need to let them know.
Sure.
So,
Is there a way
Well,
that,
and I think if we have it in committee, we can at least discuss it some.
okay, That
We
makes
could
sense.
invite a representative from the Legion, because we would have to approach, if we decided to go ahead, we would have to have the agreement with the person that owns the Legion property now.
okay.
We own the parking lot. He owns from the edge of the parking lot where the cart path would be down that road.
And then was it his decision to close it?
It's always been closed. It's
Right.
it's an emergency exit.
Yeah.
Yeah, in fact, it hasn't been closed because people drive in and
Well,
out
and
of there.
that
So,
was
I
part
mean,
of the
officially
problem.
it could be closed, but,
And it was a number of years ago, when finally council did decide that we should close it off, because we kept trying to do temporary things. Temporary things kept getting taken down, people were plowing through them, nothing.
okay.
So we finally closed it off.
So the plan is to talk about it in committee, and then we can bring forth that dialogue to the rest of the village. Okay. I just didn't, I mean, after someone brings something, we should.
may I ask when is the next committee meeting?
It is
Or whether or not we can initiate a...
June 28th
June
is the next community development.
or whether or not we be allowed to start some kind of a consensus on the work session. I don't know. I'm just throwing that up in the air.
Oh, yeah. Well, I think the key is going to be, one of the keys is to get the owner to agree.
But
If
my
they wanna do
understanding, he
something.
would be pro-American Legion, correct?
I've had no discussions with him regarding that. I really
Not
have no
sure.
idea.
Okay.
Right. We've had some issues with our dealings
Okay,
over the parking lot.
all right.
And do we want to connect somehow with the owner or with
Have
one?
him be at that meeting.
That's him.
To be at the meeting or be
Or maybe discuss it. I would say,
with the
I
Legion?
think we should first talk about it and find
Yeah.
out the history and the whole context first before, we're ready to dialogue with him.
and the Legion people may be able to
Sure.
dialogue.
They would be the ones that would have some knowledge on that as well.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
is someone going to contact the Legion or a member of a Legion or?
I don't think there's anything for council to do right now. I think right now it's in.
No, I mean to come to the committee meeting, to bring some of that information forth.
Say that again, I'm not understanding what you're saying.
To bring the information that you need, that they may have that, records of that.
Who's they?
The American Legion members, a member, a president, a commander, to bring it forth.
They're
to
kind
the-
of a third party at this point. It's
Yep.
between the owner and the village at this point, I understand.
And I think in the file, I'll be able to pull out the,
Okay.
it's a rather complex map of property ownership, and I
Okay.
think taking a look at that.
Okay. Well,
and
we'll
we
just
can
put it
kind of
on the
follow
agenda
the
for
proper
our next
material
meeting.
there.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Okay. Moving on, Law Director Jeff Forbes.
Thank you, Mayor. No legislative update for you tonight. The state legislature had been on recess for a while until just after the primary, so not much has been happening at the state, so nothing new to report on that. I can give a little more information, like Yvonne mentioned, with respect to the 11 Bachman property. I did speak to the assistant prosecutor in the county prosecutor's office that handles tax foreclosures. They are going to initiate the tax foreclosure case on that property. Then the process will be, it will go through the court system. At the end of that case, assuming that the tax foreclosure is then granted, it will go to sheriff's sale, and it'll be offered at a sheriff's sale for the public to bid on. If it doesn't sell at that sheriff's sale, then it will be offered, they have to offer it at least twice at 2 sheriff's sales. So we'll continue to watch that, we'll monitor that, so we can continue to report on the status of that case. Obviously, that was just yesterday that I talked to him, and they will proceed with it, but they have a number of steps they have to do first before they can even file the case. They have to do title exams, title work, notices. So we'll watch and be able to report back.
Okay.
The only other item, and I guess I normally don't do this either, with respect to your door-to-door peddler, solicitor, canvasser ordinance, I would just encourage anyone who has an issue with it to read it again. And what you will notice is that canvassers, those people that are interested in political canvassing, there is no registration requirement for canvassers.
Right.
There is no permit requirement for canvassers. So to the extent that anybody wants to go door to door and talk about politics, go for it. There are some regulations that apply to everyone. Time restrictions, the no solicitation sign, that applies to canvassers as well. But there is no registration or permit for that.
Is there a reason why it's bolded in
No,
your
no,
ordinance?
no discussion.
And with that, that would conclude my report.
Okay, thank you. All right, Clerk of Council, Catherine Lives.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The May 2018 Community Calendar and Resolution Numbers 2018-10F, 11 S&S, 12 S&S, 13F, 14 L&R, and 15 S&S were posted as required. A copy of Resolution Number 2018-14 L&R dealing with the prohibition of medical marijuana was forwarded to the Planning Commission. And if there are no questions, that would conclude my report.
Thank you. Hearing none. Chief of Police, Neil Fertelman.
Thanks, Mayor. On April 28th, in conjunction with many other agencies in the area, we participated in Drug Take Back Day. We brought in a pretty hefty haul of unwanted prescription drugs. We took 29 pounds of drugs that will be taken to the incinerator to be disposed of. And we continue to encourage anyone who might have missed that particular occasion. We have the drop box in our lobby. Just come up anytime during regular business hours or even after hours if you contact an officer, and we'll be happy to take those in for you. One of the more fun things that we got to do on April 26th, 2 officers, Officer Patton and Officer Andy Moore, visited the Sharing World Learning Center in the rear of the shopping center. Had a wonderful visit with some special needs youngsters that are there, and there were lots of smiles all the way around. Officers down on their knees and playing with some of the kids, and the kids running around and having a really good time. One of the officers, Officer Patton, when he was asked if he would participate in this, went out with his wife, and they went shopping and with their own money purchased toys and gifts and different things for the kids, which the kids really enjoyed, and it was just a wonderful occasion. On May 1st, we submitted our application for the Bulletproof Vest Partnership. We have a regular schedule of replacement on, unfortunately, that needed item. And those are replaced on a 5-year replacement schedule due to manufacturer's warranties. We're within the deadline of submitting that, and we will be hearing something from the federal government within the next few months. One of the real exciting partnerships that we have is with the Forest Park Police Department, and we partnered with them recently with the Meals on Wheels. Our mayor went up with us and took some meals around, and out of that grew an idea which gave birth to the Blue Dot Buddy program, which is now under development. The Forest Park mayor also was involved in this. And in summary, the concept is one of connection. And through a large base of first responders, both police and fire, we're hoping to identify and connect with our isolated elderly population and provide them the necessary resources as well as making human connections. Sometimes it's just as simple as maybe an item of groceries needed, or someone needs to stop by to say hello, or maybe to feed a pet or something like that. So that is growing and being developed. We're working with the Maple Knoll Outreach Services for Seniors volunteer who is helping us put this all together. She's in the process of standardizing the request to make it easier to request assistance from other resource bases, and we're continuing to meet, and we think this will meet a real need in the community, both in Forest Park and Green Hills. Upcoming events. We have some events that I think will be of interest to our citizens. The Family Safety Fair is coming up. That is up in Forest Park. That's on June 2nd at the Kemper Heights Early Learning Center at 924 Waycross. It runs from 11 to 1:30. Bike helmets will be given out free. There'll be health and safety demonstrations. There'll be a fire safety interactive smokehouse, Safety Rocks interactive program, a bouncy house for children, and hot dogs and other snacks will be provided. Back here in Green Hills, our bike rodeo returns on July 21st. That'll be at the middle school at 147 Farragut from 10 a.m. until 2 p.m. As you may recall, we were recently awarded a bike helmet grant, and we have a number of bike helmets to give out to participants free of charge. We're going to be doing safety checks on bikes that the children bring, and on helmets there'll be instruction for the rules of the road. Demos, right now we have a K9 booked from Forest Park and some other special surprises. We're hoping again to land a helicopter there, and we'll have some special guest prizes, ice cream coupons, and the grand prize winner from our community fund will be a new bicycle to the participants. Yeah. We'll also be manning the grills. We're going to have grilled hot dogs and possibly hamburgers and some other things. So we encourage everyone to stop by. It was a fun event last year, and we hope we can attract some more for this year's event. We haven't done this in a while, but this coincides with one of our managers' park talks. So we're going to have our National Night Out on Tuesday, August 7th. It'll be at the picnic shelter. Once again, we're going to get the grill out. We're going to have food and snacks, so we hope everyone comes out to join us for that event. During the month of April, we investigated 12 accidents, 7 crimes, and 268 other incidents. Of a total of 572 contacts, 283 of those were dispatched, and 296 were self-initiated by officers. The department provided assistance to the public at 109 instances. We assisted other agencies 22 times, and we made 47 criminal arrests and 77 traffic arrests. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay. Any comments?
One other note, if I may. Within the past hour, we've worked all weekend on a critical missing, a 17-year-old from our F section, and within the last hour, she is safely returned and is at home.
Great. Okay, moving on. I've got court receipts for the month of April. The county received $60. The state of Ohio received $1,853. And the Village of Greenhills received $10,188.20 for a grand total of $12,101.20. And that's basically all I have. I think that's it. Okay. All right, committee reports, Finance and Audit, Glenn Dries.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We have not had a Finance and Audit Committee meeting since our last council meeting, but we do have one scheduled for June 8th at 8:30 in the morning. I didn't tell you that yet. I'm sorry. This sounds crazy. It's May, and it's for the 2019 budget. But we're starting, because we have to. So that will be the focus of that meeting, as well as an overview of where we are at year-to-date financially. Just as a reminder for those that are interested in the village finances, the general fund is the fund that we use to pay many expenses, and then there are special designated funds where things like police, fire, streets are special funds, and those revenues come from property taxes. But the general fund, that revenue comes from income taxes, real estate taxes, local government fund, and other sources. Year-to-date, I'm pleased to report that you guys are doing well. You got a 3.63% raise if you're paying your taxes, because our revenue year-to-date on income taxes up 3.63%. So that's a positive sign for the welfare of the village as well as the village residents. Real estate tax, this could be a little bit of a timing issue, but we're up $20,000 over the same time last year, or about 11.25%. Overall revenue year-to-date is up 6.4%, or $48,000. And then the fund balance is actually down about $43,000. And if you recall other commentary I've made on the multi-year budgets, we will see our general fund creep down as we make transfers into things like non-voted debt, police, to pay those obligations of those funds. On the expense side, year-to-date, we have spent or transferred $961,000, and that's $151,000 more than last year. 155 was for the demo project, and 93 for the restroom project. And then we have some things that were less, like less employee expense in the service department, $11,000 less in the post office. So we're within our budget. We're operating the way we planned. We have spent 38.19% of the appropriated money, and we're on target. We're doing what we said we would do. So that is my report.
Okay, any comments or questions? Intergovernmental Affairs, Laws and Rules, Jack Lee.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Laws and Rules Committee met yesterday morning and reviewed the following issues. A draft copy was submitted for the golf cart authorization. We offered a few amendments, but otherwise I think it's ready to be initiated for use at the golf course. Red light camera issue was discussed briefly again, and again we kind of moved that back to you all at that point. The shopping center signage, there was another meeting with the owner of the shopping center concerning that. Some test sign type were going to be placed again for his review, and hopefully we'll be moving forward on some sort of configuration at some point. We discussed the 11 Bachman issue as the manager has addressed, and there was a draft of an ordinance supplemental to the code book that should be coming forward in the near future. The next meeting of Laws and Rules is Monday, June 25th at 9 a.m. And that is the extent of my report.
Comments or questions? All right, hearing none. Community Development, Jeff Holder.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We've been talking about new entryway signage for the village, primarily on Winton Road. Our strategy at this point is to take a two-phase approach, have a couple of nice signs put up. We're looking at making the cost as competitive as possible. We're looking at different options, but at another point to actually make a bigger, more substantial entryway signage. There's a lot of code issues we have to make sure we address and that kind of thing. But the plan is to start with initial signage that would talk about our National Historic Landmark designation and welcome people to and from the village. But then when we get funding for more substantial signage, move those to the Sharon Wood exit and then, our entrance, and then replace them. So nothing would be lost in the process. I think it's an exciting thing to make sure that people, as they enter the village, know that we have that designation and capitalize on that as much as possible. Our next community development meeting is on June 28th. And to your earlier point, we will take up the road in American Legion, understand the context and around that, and try to help out as much as we can. Trying to think what else. I'm sorry, it is at 5:15, is that what we did before? Thank you, sorry. 5:15 on June 28th. And that is the extent of my report.
Jeff, I only want to say that this is a great moving forward. You have no idea how many people have asked, why don't we have some kind of signage having to do with that? And I mentioned that we have the one at the Commons. They said, no, we want something at the entrance of our village. And they often bring up the Glendale sign. So I went around and looked at that, and I just, comparable to that, they look very stylish. They are readable.
Yeah.
The print is very readable, so I think that would be a plus.
I
Thank you so
actually-
much
yeah.
for moving forward with this.
No problem. I actually went around and photographed and also did a pretty extensive search on current signage. We've got a balance of wanting it to fit the style of the village and having, so picking from a big group, it makes sense. So if any of you have pictures or come across signage that you think is appropriate, don't hesitate to email that in to us, and that can be part of the discussion. We don't want to overthink it either, but on the other hand, if you've got, people are going everywhere, and if you come across some good signage that you feel would be appropriate, please send it to me.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but they will replace the wooden signs?
Yes, they would.
Okay, because they are deteriorating rapidly. There was, some of them are very cracked, the poles are very cracked.
Yeah, I don't know if it's so much the entry signs. I know our street signage is, some of those are
Yes.
cedar, some of those, I went around and painted some of them, and then chunks of wood would come off as I stroked
yes,
across
yeah,
it. So,
yeah.
along with that, we have new regulations, as you know, and street signs are close to follow. We have to eventually deal with those.
They have to be reflective?
Yeah, have to be
For the
reflective, they have to have a
evening, yeah.
breakaway component to them. It looks straightforward, but there's a lot to consider, and
Yeah.
it's not a delay tactic, but we'll get the entryway signs done and then move on to street signs. Big thing is, it's not a low-cost
like I
endeavor.
said, there are many citizens that are very excited to see something like that. When do you think that that would come to be?
That, I don't know. I mean, are you talking about the street signs?
The
entryway signs?
The entryway signs.
I definitely we're hoping to have those up this summer, so,
That would be awesome.
yeah.
It would be absolutely great also if we have it ready for our parade day. That would be just like icing on the cake.
Well, I hope that's the case. I know we've gotten some quotes in, and I'm actually looking at different components. Sent an email out today to a company in town that I've taken students to, and they do casting. But they don't make the poles. So
Yes, correct.
we're piecing it together. I'd love to say it will come together perfectly by that time, but there's a lot of unknowns.
But I like the idea that you presented, that you're going to have the entries covered, and then figure out the next step, and those will not be lost money,
Right,
but
right.
it will be put on the other two entrances, like the one in Springdale Road,
Right.
and on the one on Sharon Road.
Well, that actually was Yvonne's idea, and I think it's just as important to recognize a big idea as to have one.
Kudos
so-
to everyone also with that, because a lot of people are very anxious to see those.
Thank you.
All right, and we've not had a Service and Streets meeting. Safety, Melanie Hermes.
We have not had a meeting since our meeting in April. Our next meeting will be June 26th, prior to the next council meeting at 5:15.
Okay. Recreation Cable TV, Maria Walter.
Well, we had our staff meeting on April the 18th for the Harvest Fest, and we are meeting again tomorrow at 9 o'clock. We're moving right along. We have a band. We have different responses already from a survey that we sent out of people that are interested in coming back and putting their booth, their goods for sale there. We are contacting different groups again to perform the Winterwood Squires and et cetera. So we are, every month we meet and we kind of cross out a couple of more things that have been taken care of. But we started this process in January. I mean, ever since we thought about this, first thing was get people together and brainstorm and do stuff that will get it going as fast as we can. For the cable television meeting, we're going to have a meeting, it's quarterly, so the next meeting, it's going to be in June, I believe. So, you have that date on that? I don't have it now. But, I will be present at that,
June 13th.
June 13th. And I will be present at that one, and I'll bring in information from the Waycross Television Center. And that concludes my report.
All right. New business. Ordinance number 2018-04-LNR, amending section 303.06 of the Greenhills Codified Ordinance regarding definitions of an abandoned junk vehicle. And is this going to be a first reading?
Yes. First reading of ordinance 2018-04 LNR, amending section 303.06 of the Greenhills Codified Ordinances regarding the definition of an abandoned junk motor vehicle. This is the first reading.
And do you want to just mention, in case anybody's interested, in
Yeah,
the two things that are
actu-
changing?
Yeah, actually, there are just two changes to this based upon recommendations by Chief Fertelman. The first is the age of the vehicle, changing that from 5 years old or older to 3 years, and changing the amount of the fair market value from $800 to $1,500 or $1,500. So. Yes.
Okay,
What's my title on it? Is that what it is?
Did we have to,
no, just a first reading.
not for the first reading, okay.
Okay, resolution, next item, Resolution 2018-16-F. Resolution requesting Hamilton County Auditor to certify the total current tax valuation of the Village of Greenhills and dollar amount of revenue generated by 3 1/2 mills, 3.5 mills, for purpose of evaluating and levying a tax in the excess of the 10 mil limitation. Mr. Dries.
Thanks for this long one. Resolution 2018-16F, a resolution requesting the Hamilton County Auditor certify the total current tax valuation of the Village of Green Hills and the dollar amount of revenue generated by 3 1/2 mills for the purpose of evaluating and levying a tax exceeding the 10 mil limitation. Whereas the Village Council has preliminarily determined that the amount of taxes which may be raised within the 10 mil limitation will be insufficient to fund necessary services provided by the Village of Green Hills, Hamilton County, Ohio. And whereas the primary purpose and intent of such funding is for providing and maintaining motor vehicles, communication, other equipment, buildings, and sites for such buildings used directly in operation of a police department, for the payment of salaries of permanent or part-time police, communications, or administrative personnel to operate the same, including the payment of any employer contributions required for such personnel under Section 145.48 or 742.33 of the Ohio Revised Code, or for the payment of other related costs for the village as authorized by 5705.19J of the Ohio Revised Code, and whereas the Ohio Revised Code 5705.03 requires the village to obtain certain information from the county auditor prior to proceeding with the submission of an additional tax levy to the electors of the village. Now therefore be it resolved by the Council of the Village of Green Hills, Hamilton County, Ohio, Section 1, that the Village Council has preliminarily determined that it is necessary to levy a tax in excess of the 10 mil limitation for the benefit of the residents of Green Hills for providing and maintaining motor vehicles, communication, other equipment, building, and sites for such buildings used directly in the operation of a police department, for the payment of salaries of permanent or part-time police, communications, or administrative personnel to operate same, including the payment of any employer contributions required for such personnel under Section 145.48 or 742.33 of the Revised Code, or for the payment of other related costs for the villages authorized by 5705.19J of the Ohio Revised Code. Section 2, that this tax be levied upon the entire territory of the village. Section 3, that the levy to be placed upon the tax list is an additional levy. Section 4, that the levy shall be for a continuing period of time. Section 5, that the village council hereby requests information from the county auditor related to current total tax valuation of the village and the dollar amount of revenue that would be generated by a levy of a tax rate not exceeding 3 1/2 mils for each $1 valuation for a continuing period of time. Section 6, that the question of the passage of said tax levy shall be submitted to the electors of the village at a general election to be held on November 6, 2018. If approved by a majority of the electors voting at such election, said tax levy shall be first placed upon the 2018 tax list and duplicate for first collection in calendar year 2019. Section 7, that the clerk of the village council is hereby directed to immediately certify to the county auditor that this resolution and to obtain from the county auditor the information requested hereunder. Section 8, that this resolution shall be effective from and after the earliest period allowed by law. Mr. Mayor, I move for the adoption of Resolution 2018-16F.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Okay, clerk, call the roll.
Alter,
Aye.
Dries,
Aye.
Hermes,
Aye.
Lee,
Aye.
Walther,
Aye.
Okay, Resolution 2018-16F passes. And if I'm correct, then when we get the results back from the auditor's office, we'll have another ordinance to place it on the ballot.
Correct.
Resolution.
Resolution? Yeah. Okay. Next, resolution number 2018-17-F, resolution making supplemental appropriations and transfers. Mr. Dries.
Resolution 2018-17F, resolution making supplemental appropriations and transfers, whereas the 2018 annual appropriations that were adopted on December 12, 2017 are to be amended, and whereas appropriations must not exceed total available resources of the village per Ohio Revised Code, Section 505.36A5, therefore an amended certificate of estimated resources has been requested from the County Budget Commission. Now therefore be it resolved by the Council of the Village of Greenhills, Ohio, that Section 1, certain actions are needed in the monies appropriated so to permit the Village of Greenhills to meet its fiscal obligations for the year 2018. The following items of expenditure to supplement the appropriations for expenditure for the year 2018. Fund 2011, street construction, repair, and maintenance, appropriation $140,600, change $131,500, total $272,100. Section 2, that the following transfer of funds be made from previously appropriated monies: from the general fund $1,000 to the non-voted debt service 3901, amount $266,000. Section 3, this resolution shall take effect and be in full force from and after the earliest date allowed by law. Mr. Mayor, I move for the adoption of Resolution 2018-17F.
I second it.
Okay, moved and seconded. Any comments?
Yeah, let me make a few comments. The additional $131,000 is for the resurfacing of Jewel, Foxworth, and Handle, as we had discussed previously in the work session, and also some crack sealing of some other streets. And the transfer from the general fund to the non-voted debt is a planned transfer for meeting our obligations for non-voted debt service.
All right, clerk, call the roll.
Hermes,
Aye.
Lee,
Aye.
Walther,
Aye.
Dries,
Aye.
Halter,
Aye.
Okay, resolution number 2018-17-F passes. Next, resolution 2018-18-S&S, resolution authorizing assessments on certain properties in the Village of Green Hills. And Maria, Ms. Walther, handle that.
Resolution number 2018-18-SNS, resolution authorizing assessments on certain properties in the Village of Green Hills. Whereas the village has given proper notice to the owners of certain real property in the Village of Green Hills regarding the removal of vegetation, refuse, garbage, and/or debris from the properties listed below. And whereas the owners of said properties did not take action to remedy the violations, and therefore the Village of Green Hills contracted to remove vegetation, refuse, garbage, and/or debris, and now seeks to collect said expenses by authorizing the placement of a lien upon their lands and collected as other taxes. Now therefore be it resolved by the Council of the Village of Green Hills, Section 1, that the Village Council hereby certifies that the cost of such labor, together with the expenses relative thereto, be filed on the return and statement to the Hamilton County Commissioners as an assessment against the properties listed and placed as a lien against the properties by the Auditor of Hamilton County, Ohio, as follows. The description of 597-0080-0175-00. The address is 2 Beckford Drive. The owner is JTSS Investment LLC, and the cost is $135.62. Description 597-0080-0005-00, 2 Bradner Place, River Road Rentals LLC. The cost is $113.99. Description 597-010-0202-00, 78 Ilona Drive, Taylor Bradley K. and Nina Volgelenter, And the amount for that, the cost is $216.99. The total amount is $466.60. Section 2, all amounts collected as a result of this resolution shall be placed into the general fund of the Village of Green Hills. Section 3, this resolution shall be effective immediately upon its passage. Mr. Mayor, I move that we adopt this resolution.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any comments?
Just a general question. These funds are being held as a lien against their
The property.
properties. Does that gain interest? Is it, or is that amount stay static all this time? I'm just,
I don't think there's interest. It's collected as taxes, so if they don't pay their taxes, I don't know if they use, do you have any idea? I don't know if liens are considered.
My understanding is, once the amount is certified to the auditor, it goes on their property taxes as an assessment, and that's the amount you
Okay.
get back.
Yeah.
all right.
I know the auditor, they add their fee to it, but that's theirs.
Okay.
Is it standard practice, or do other places assess interest? Because in some of these cases, we could not see the money for 10 years, kind of thing.
And I think with these, they basically go on the very next bill.
But then
Okay.
if people don't
Very
pay
nice.
their
Don't
bills,
If they don't pay, we still don't get it.
I mean, like
Yeah.
11 Bachman,
Right.
nobody's paying that bill, but
Is there any way to check into that and see if other municipalities would charge interest along with the fee?
I'm going to guess legally we can't.
I can look into it.
Okay.
But I'm not aware of a way to do it, because
Okay.
once you've assessed this cost to the county takes over the collection
Okay.
process. But we'll definitely look at it.
All right, clerk call the roll.
Dries,
Aye.
Halter,
Aye.
Hermes,
aye.
Lee,
Aye.
Walther,
Aye.
Okay, resolution number 2018-18-SNS passes. Next resolution, number 2018-19-F, resolution authorizing an increase for a certain village employee. Mr. Dries?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Resolution 2018-19F, a resolution authorizing an increase for a certain village employee. Whereas in March 2018, the village pay scale for hourly employees was updated, and those employees who had reached their top step received specifically stated increases, and whereas one employee was inadvertently left off the list, therefore be it resolved by the Council of the Village of Greenhills, State of Ohio, that Section 1, as an employee who reached their top step, Brenda Davis, shall be compensated as follows: $14.30 per hour. Section 2, said pay rate shall be retroactive till April 9th, 2018. Section 3, that this resolution shall be effective immediately upon its adoption. Mr. Mayor, I move for the adoption of Resolution 2018-19F.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any questions? All right, I think it's self-explanatory. Clerk call the roll.
Walther,
Aye.
Dries,
Aye.
Halter,
Aye.
Hermes,
Aye.
Lee,
Aye.
Okay, resolution number 2018-19-F passes. Okay, next item's calendar.
Pool opens this weekend.
Sure does.
Golf course is already opened.
Sure is.
We have the Memorial Day
This-
service at Monday,
Monday the
11th,
28th.
28th.
The 28th. And there will be a silent parade, and then the activities will be in the commons.
What time?
The parade should be coming down about 10:15 to 10:30. The commons starts at 11. There will be music played before that, etc.
There are two planning commission meetings. First is June 4th, which is Tuesday at 6 p.m. and then again on June 26th at Tuesday at 6 p.m. There's a Laws and Rules Committee meeting on Monday morning at 9 a.m., June 25th.
June 8th, 8:30 a.m., Finance and Audit.
June 26th at 5:15, Safety Committee. And the first concert on the Commons will be starting up next, a week from tomorrow, May 30th at 7 p.m. And then not quite every Wednesday, but pretty close.
Show up, you'll see us.
June 28th, Community Development, 5:15 PM.
My first park talk on June 5th at 6, and we have a community-wide yard sale on June 9th.
Another thing happening in the village will be from the American Legion on June the 8th. They're going to have a Fiesta Taco Dinner from 6 to 8 p.m. There will be some tickets on pre-sale and some tickets also sold at the door. Also, there will be a cheeseburger in paradise, Jimmy Buffett kind of music. It would be on July the 13th, again, also from 6 to 8 p.m. at the American Legion. And the tickets will be for pre-sale, and they also will be sold at the door.
Will Jimmy Buffett be there?
No,
Oh.
just the music will be there.
Just
It's otherwise engaged.
Had Maria taught him.
Yvonne, on June 9th is the yard sale, correct?
Correct.
And I had a resident ask me, what's the latest they can sign up for that? The
Probably like
Wednesday before?
Tuesday or Wednesday of that week.
Okay, thank you.
The only reason there has to be a cutoff is when we produce the list, they can still participate, they just might not make the list if they wait
Okay.
too long.
Thank you.
Okay. Meeting's adjourned.
All right.
Okay.
let you-
let me-